Okay, hey, players. That felt weird, whatever. I am going to be doing a D&D lore breakdown for Runeterra, the world that the League of Legends universe exists in, as well as the Legends of Runeterra, partially the TFT universe, whatever. They're like a dimensional They're like a dimensional layer above us. If you hear that, I just spent like all day working on these slides, so I just need some therapy. So we're occasionally going to be having the riff from Buddy Holly chiming in every now and then, and maybe it's already making me feel a lot better. So this is the price that you pay. Anyways, let's before we fully begin, I do have two big caveats here. Um, the first, being represented by our time people at the top, is that chronologically things might not make sense. If you know about the lore and the sequence of events and everything, there are going to be some things that don't uh, happen when they should, or they happen before they should. One of a very common occurrence is that some things will have needed to happen for other things to happen. Um, but um, but I want my players to be able to experience everything. So um, yeah, some things might appear weird um, with the explanation that I give, and then maybe during the campaign, things are a little strange compared to the information that I give or the information you might already have regarding League of Legends. So there's some characters, a lot of the characters on screen currently on the bottom half, other than Echo and Zillion at the top. The events that surround them are very time strict. So some things aren't going to make sense, but that's okay because cool stuff is cool. Um, anyways, so this is the world of Runeterra. We have Freljord at the top, Demacia at the middle left, Noxus middle right, Ionia on an island far east. We got Piltover and Zon kind of mashed together there in the center. We've got Targon Mountains at the bottom left. Shrima, this is a giant desert in the bottom middle. And Ixtal, a relatively new region at the far right of Shrima. We've got Bilgewater and the Serpent Isles out there, and then the Shadow Isles in the what was once Blessed Isles, so we'll get into that. And then we've got Camivore off screen. They are going to have an honorable mention with Ixtal. Ishtal, I believe it's actually pronounced, but whatever. Because both of them, there's so very little information for both of them, but they're still definitely worth mentioning. So, first we're going to focus on the northern continent, of Valoran, where our regions, nations, whatever, of Freljord, Demacia, and Noxus are. So, let's first get into Noxus. This is where our players currently are. So I figured it'd be best to get in here right away. So, just a brief history. I'm gonna have a history, a culture, and a notable figure section for almost every region, just to see if we can get a good hang of things. So, Noxus started as a bunch of warmongering tribes with a bunch of different varieties in the tribes, a bunch of diversity there. And the tribes fought for back and forth until a legendary warmonger named San Uzal conquered and kind of united the tribes under one tyrannical rule and made the immortal Bastion, which was in this picture back here. They invented the calendar, they developed magic, and really made Noxus this industrialized region here. San Uzal was eventually overthrown, and the rest of the history is pretty irrelevant up until the rise of Grand General Swain and his machinations. So they've had some incursions into other territory. The biggest ones have been Shurima and Ionia, to the south and the northeast. But they did also have fights with Ferelliord and Demacia. So at the top right is Grand General Swain in the demonic flesh, and then Vygar, who served under Sun Uzal. He's the supreme master of all things life leeching. So here's some Noxian culture. They're very technologically adept. They are not the most technologically advanced, but we've got the Leviathan, the ship at the bottom right here. We've got some members of Lord Vladimir's circle at the bottom here, who I am referring to as the Blood Court.
AI is smart.
I'm getting fucking advertisements! Okay, anyways. That was an atrocity. Yeah, so members of the Blood Court there at the bottom. That's kind of what they look like. Bottom left is the one of the many gladiatorial arenas that Noxus is known for. Then we've got some military people in kind of the dead center, and their logo's at the top left there. So, oops, I need to actually, there we go. Okay, here's some notable figures. We've got LeBlanc, also known as the Black Rose. She's kind of a intelligence spy lady. Vladimir of the Blood Court, once again, he's a hemomancer. He uses blood to hurt and help. Has basically kind of reached an immortality through it. Darius. Darius is the Hand of Noxus. He's been responsible for a lot of the wins recently in Noxus's wars. Scion, who is an undead beast risen from the grave with the jaw of Jarvan II, or with the crown of Jarvan II as his jaw. Raging beast. He beats shit up. Katarina Ducateau, forgive my French, it is not amazing, but she is the heir, the daughter of a famous house of assassins in Noxus. And then Draven, our glorious executioner at the bottom right, the brother of Darius. A younger brother of Darius. And moving on to their rivals, Demacia here. Demacia history is... God, it is so boring. So it's very kind of stable farmlands for a while. They really don't like mages because they try to live with mages, and mages kept trying to obtain power over the non-mages, so they kind of just cast out mages altogether. They have Petricite, which is wood, these giant trees that are magic resistant while also still having the durability of steel. So kind of an amazing military resource there. They are constantly at war with Noxus. They have dragons in their southern mountains. Very recently, King Jarvan III died in an ambush from the ever-plotting LeBlanc, and since then, Jarvan IV is trying to take up reigns as king. Yeah, that's about it. Got some culture here, very pretty, very yeah, I mean, I don't know what else is there. Pretty marble, white, Buddy Holly kind of esque. We've got one of the port cities in the center there, with their logo at the top left. We got some dragon riders at the bottom left. They are actually very in touch with nature. They quite often ride like giant deer and dragons, and have the assistance of massive birds. So it's cool. We've got some royalty at the very bottom there. Top right, we've got your average Demacian dad. Then we got some mage seekers, some of the people who hunt mages. And then at the bottom right, we have what would typically be some armor that Demacian soldiers would wear. Although they are few, they are strong. Some notable figures are Kale, a kind of pretty godlike being, really, who believes that, sinners will be judged and whatnot. Very not understanding, just kill bad people. Garen, who is the poster boy of Demacia, he is a excellent soldier, very well armored, does some magical shit, which is kind of sus if you ask me. But Quinn, who's actually pretty notable compared to everyone else because she lives on in a northern village, kind of on the edge of Demacia and Freljord, and she's a scout. So even the people who don't live in the main city of Demacia do still like Demacia. They are still very patriotic and whatnot. Vayne and Sin and Lucian, the person at the bottom left, and then the people at the bottom right, are pretty similar. They both hunt creatures of the night, anything spooky ghosts or witchcraft and all that. Sin and Lucian are more so focused on these Shadow Isles, but Galio is a giant living statue made of petricite, who awakens during times of need for Demacia. And then we have a gremlin hugging the right here. And we can't forget the most important Demacian character, Poppy, our sweet, darling Poppy. If anyone says wood, you are instantly dying. You should die now. Next, we got the Freljord. The Freljord, very icy tundra place. History, this place is actually pretty chock full of history. It's very important. So, long ago, there were 3 sisters, Avarosa, Lysandra, and Cyrilda. Also, there were 3 demigods, Volibear, Ornn, and Nivea, although most of the history isn't super important around Volibear, Ornn, and Nivea. Lysandra has some cool magic, which she starts using after her eyes get slashed out by Volibear. And she makes contact with these beings called the Watchers. And the Watchers basically say, hey, we'll make you super powerful if just so you can live as long as you can when the void inevitably comes. And Sonya's like, yeah, let's do that. So they make a contract with the Watchers, and the sisters pretty easily conquer the Freljord, but still don't really like the contract they have with the Watchers. They're kind of some fucked up bosses. So eventually the Watchers come, and Avarosa and Cyrilda lead the people of the Freljord to attack the Watchers, and in one giant spell, Lysandra just sacrifices everyone to bury the Watchers under the howling abyss that was crafted by Ornn. In current-day Freljord, that was so long ago, in current-day Freljord, there are once again 3 tribes. The Winter's Claw, led by a lady named Sejuani. The Avarosans, led by a lady named Ash. And the Frostguard, led by Lysandra to this day. So here we got some culture. Going from top left to bottom right, we've got a Winter Claw village, an Avarosan outrider group, some soldiers of the Frostguard, a mighty Poro and his Poro friends. Use some creatures of the Freljord. They're very adorable. We've got a spirit of the Freljordian wild. We got some Elnuks, some big deer things. We've got an Earth Sign, one of the followers of Volibear. Then we've got a just typical Freljordian village. It's probably an Avarosan one. On the bottom right, we have the Forge of Ornn. Notable figures, as I mentioned before, Ash is the leader of the Avarosans, and she wishes for a peaceful solution to uniting the tribes. Sejuani is a warmongering alternate to Ash. She wants to unite the tribes, but through conquering everyone. And Lysandra, her machinations are unknown. We don't really know what she's doing right now. Nivea, who is one of the demigods, she's a cryo phoenix. She's kind of a very old, wise force of nature here in the Freljord. Volibear is the primal, natural forces of the Freljord. He's pretty naked. It's pretty concerning. and he beats the shit out of people. And Ornn kind of reflects the Freljordians' ingenuity and ability to live in such a tough environment. Oh my god, Vine Powder from Arcane! We're in Piltover. So, Piltover really kind of just started as just an important city on a river, and really nothing other than that. But because of so much trade coming in, people were staying around. It just kind of had a huge population growth because of that. They opened up the river more to, try to expand trade and whatnot, but it led to a horrible disaster. Some people lived, some people died. Most watched Arcane. So this day of disaster was eventually turned into Progress Day, a national holiday. There's huge classism versus the Zonites. The people of Piltover are classes towards the people of Zonites, and honestly, it's classism back the same way. The Zonites don't appreciate the high horse of the Piltovers look down at them upon. So, very important to note that hex crystals, which are kind of crystals that are inherently magical, were discovered by the Pharos family, and then Shimmer, which was discovered for some reason is an unknown chemical. It's kind of like a steroid that very quickly kills you. These hex crystals are integrated into society, and this Shimmer stuff, well, I guess we might find out. And then, because of the hex crystals, because of the trade, this becomes the cultural and technological capital of the world. Very quickly, almost overnight, you could say. Picture at the top right is Janna, actually wind elemental, and I know that looks like a person, but a wind elemental that saved a lot of the people during the disaster on Progress Day. Then the bottom right is Albus Pharos, the current head of the Pharos family, who are the founders of the Hex Crystals. Here we've got some Piltover and Zon culture. We've got, from top left to bottom right, a Piltover street, some Piltover secret agents, the statue outside of the University of Piltover, a Wump rat, which is a rat that has been trained to find mushrooms in Zon, and climb through the sewers and whatnot. The bridge connecting Piltover and Zon, the giant river that leads through it. We've got a citizen of Zon. Then we've got basically kind of what Zon looks like. We've got some of the looks of the Chem Barons that run Zon. And we've got the very beautiful life that can still manage to live in the horrible place that is Zon. Some notable figures. Caitlin, the sheriff of Piltover, and Vi, her trusty enforcer. Where Caitlin is the good cop, Vi is the bad cop. We've got Jace, the main person who integrated hex crystals into society. Those are all Piltover figures. Renata Glask, who's an up-and-coming Chem Baron that might be pulling a bit more weight than she's letting on. Jinx, who is Vi's sister. Ooh, spoilers, shut the fuck up. And is just a totally wanted criminal. Horrible. And then Victor, a man who believes that the future of mankind lies in evolution rather than ingenuity. Instead of crafting better tools, you must become the better tool. Alright, I'm going to give myself a break to rest my voice and get some water, and we'll be back. Alright. I am not going to continue the Buddy Holly riff joke anymore. We're just going to get right into it. So this continent of Shurima, there's a nation of Shurima, although that is not what I'm referring to here. So I got in parentheses up here, Shurima continent. But luckily, we're going to get right into the nation of Shurima. Starting with its history, I totally forgot to do like a little overview slide. That's okay. You guys are going to be seeing a lot of Shurima in the pictures. So, um, Shurima is one of the oldest nations, so there's a lot going on here, keep in mind. But very brief history. So the settlers from Targon moved down to Shurima to build the Sun Disk from the orders of the gods. And the Sun Disk is built around an oasis in Shurima, known as the Oasis of the Sun. So this Empire Shurima goes for a while. There's these warriors called the Ascended, which are blessed by the gods through the Sun Disk, and to fight and die with in a war with the Void, which takes a terrible turn after the city of Acathia sinks into the Void. So this war's happening. Ascended of Void creatures and godly warriors are fighting. During this, the Emperor Azir at the time is about to ascend, but is betrayed by his kind of adopted advisor Xerath. This ascension was like the most powerful one. They were trying to turn Azir into God Emperor Azir, but Xerath kind of took it into a being of pure energy who, in lore, could technically blow up the entire world easily, but we're not going to look at that. There's a dormant period after this betrayal, the downfall of Shurima, where ascended warriors no longer under the leadership of Azir break apart, form their own tribes, war with each other, and eventually, after the Ascended learn Hemomancy, they get corrupted by it and become Darken. Darken are a little more important later. I'll talk about that later. But basically, after this period of dormancy, Azir is revived through the blood of his great granddaughter or something. It's like great granddaughter, Sever, and he is revived, ascended. So now he is God Emperor Azir. So here's some culture of Shurima. We've got the Oasis at the Sun at the top left. We've got one of the citizens of one of the outskirts city of Shurima. In the middle there, going from top left, bottom right. Top right, we've got the city of the Oasis of the Sun. We've got a marshal of the new army of Shurima now that Azir is back. And here we've got a parade going on in the name of Azir's in the middle. And right here is something kind of interesting. So before Acathia fell, it was very time focused. They're really trying to figure out chronomancy and whatnot. So that is one of the clockwork golems that they had as assistants and defenders. At the bottom left is actually a sand soldier. So that may look like a real person, but that is in fact made of sand, I believe. All entirely of sand. And that's Azir's power, is to control sand. At the bottom there, we've got another citizen of one of the outskirts cities of Shurima. And then at the bottom right is a Bakai. That's what happens whenever an ascended ritual fails. They become a Bakai. Very horrible experience. Very physically painful, very mentally torturing. Notable figures, we got Azir, God Emperor Azir, ascended warrior of the sun. Nausus, and another ascended warrior. He's very knowledgeable. He's very smart. He does a lot of book reading. He does not fuck books. We got Talia, a stone weaver of Shurima. Renekton, who is the brother of Nausus, and another ascended warrior, who was kind of turned crazy after him and Nausus kind of backed Xerath into a corner, into a tomb, and Renekton said, "Seal me in with Xerath so I know he doesn't get out." And then Xerath the person right after, basically gaslit the fuck out of Renekton for centuries until eventually he's convinced that it was all Nasus' fault that Renekton was stuck in there. And then Summer, the daughter of Xena, who was kind of a bandit. Yeah, not kind of, a bandit for sure. In the vast nation of Shrima. Mentioned it earlier, but here we are at Targon. Mount Targon, you could even say. So, Targon history is very important. The first life was in Targon. Canonically, it's because the mountain is so high. That Mount Targon is so high that it was the first place that gods kind of touched down. So, dragons were first made, and then humans came a bit later. When the humans came, they formed mountain tribes, and there's war between them. There's two tribes known as the Solari and the Lunari. Solari worshipped the god of the sun, and Lunari worshipped the god of the moon. They're actually both goddesses. So, you know how earlier I said that Darkin were going to be important later? Well, here it is. One of the major nearly world-ending events is the Darkin War. All of these super powerful ascended warriors with hemomancy are basically fighting each other. And Darkin, named Aatrox, leads a world-conquering campaign up to Targon. Just to fight and beat shit up. While, Azir's not around. So there are these aspects who are people that are possessed by the gods. In some way or another. It can be a full possession or kind of just like a voice in your head. Fight these Darkin. And the aspect of Twilight named Zoe teaches the people of Targon how to seal Darkin in their weapons. So they do that. All is good. Then later, the Draconic War, the Draconic Civil War breaks out. Sympathetic dragons, as in dragons who are sympathetic towards other forms of life, move to Demacia to get away from these dragon supremacists. And really all that's left to kind of be wrapped up is that the Demacian man travels from Demacia to Targon to become the aspect of the Protector. Everything before that, before the aspect of the Protector part, happened like ages ago. Like so long ago. So long ago. I cannot. This is before the rise of Noxus. This is like thousands of years into the past. And then there are some new aspects, whatnot. So here's some Targaryen culture going from top left to bottom right. We've got Mount Targon. So, you can see some mountain peaks over there. They're kind of breaching the sea of clouds. And Mount Targon, you can see, is all the way up there. We've got a Solari and Lunari battling. Then we have the view from Mount Targon. Absolutely beautiful. We got a Solari Sunhawk. We've got the aspect of war Pantheon, or Atreus, with his band of fellows fighting the resurgence of the Darkin, which may or may not happen in the D&D campaign, but we've got some Lunari constructs kind of reawakening. We've got some mountain goats that just have gems for horns just kind of floating on them. Kind of show how weird Targon is with their wildlife. We've got some dragons, some big mighty dragons being worshipped by a human there. And then we've got a Lunari priestess. Here's some notable figures of Targon. We've got Leona, the aspect of the sun, who is lesbian beefing with Diana, the aspect of the moon. These are recent. These aren't way in the past. These aspects are all currently up to date. Zoe, the aspect of Twilight, the one who sealed Aatrox all those years ago. Got Pantheon, the new aspect of war. Really mentioning him is a little weird. You know how earlier I mentioned that chronologically some things don't really make a lot of sense. Um, yeah, so Pantheon's either been around for ages or he's only been around recently, and because he fought with Aatrox, which he fought in the Darken War potentially, or he fought with the revive of the Darken. And if that's the case, then this wouldn't have happened yet. Take the Pantheon section with a grain of salt, okay? Um, Aphelios, who's another Lunari, a member of the Lunari. Oh, Pantheon was also in his time of being a human, he was a Solari. Aphelios, who's a Lunari mute who uses a variety of different weapons that are transported to him through his sister Alune. He's mute because he has to drink a potion, which makes him mute, which gives him the ability to do all this shit. And then Soraka, a Visayan, actually, I believe, who's known for healing people and granting their wishes. Here we have our honorable mentions of Ishtal and Camivore. They're together because there's so little information about both of them. I'm just gonna put them together. So, Ishtal history is it's another ancient civilization alongside Shrimatargon. They have a matriarchy, a queendom. They're very in touch with the elements there, and they're very natural. They're very in touch with their nature. In Camivore, really nothing is known. It seems like a normal ass continent. It's got nations and countries competing for strength and whatnot. Had a king, and there's some dragons there. That's cool. Empyrean dragons, I believe. No, I don't think they're Empyrean dragons. Anyways, some variation of dragon, which, you know, if we take it as a hint from Targon, maybe human life was there as well. I don't know. Here are some Ishtal and Camivore notable features. We're skipping culture because there's really, I don't, you know, don't really have a lot of information about it. We got Smolder and Viego from Camivore. So Smolder's a little baby dragon from Camivore. And Viego was the king of Camivore. We'll get to that later. Cassante is a warrior from Ishtal. Kiana is a princess, one of 47 or something of Ishtal, who's trying to take the throne. Skarner is an ancient bracken or something. That his people were slaughtered, and that's not really cool. So he's trying to figure out what happened to that. And Zara's, she's a plant. I really can't tell you what's going on with her. They might have updated that lore. I don't know. Back to more relevant nations, we've got Bilgewater. So Bilgewater, I forgot to do the overview thing for Bilgewater, but it's a bunch of little islands called the Serpent Isles. And the Burus are native. The Buru, which are people who believe in a a serpent goddess named Nagakoboros, are native there. They live there. There's eventually so many boats that kind of crash in this region because the waters are really dangerous because of the fish that Flotsam is created, and using the Flotsam, Bilgewater is built on the kind of sides of these these mountains and weird structure using the scraps of the boats. So it's pirates fight and kill. Do that for so long. Eventually, Gangplank of the Reaver King comes to rule with an iron fist. During his time as the Reaver King, Gangplank kills Fortune's parents, and then Fortune, wanting revenge, kills Gangplank. And so Fortune is now the kind of de facto ruler of Gangplank, of Bilgewater, and she's attempting to restructure Bilgewater to have a bit more of a diplomatic approach rather than salt and blood and whatnot. You see Gangplank's ship, the Dreadway. That's actually the Leviathan, stolen from Noxian hands, funnily enough. And then Fortune's little ship, the Siamese. You're going from top left to bottom right. We've got the, I want to say, Ripper Docks of um, of Bilgewater, where they take these giant fish and cut them open. They're at least so giant they have to build like giant saws to cut through them, and they can't cut them through them with like a knife or something. Um, then we've got some fish people here with the gambling culture and fighting culture. One of the giant fish, a jawl fish, one of the main ones that they are able to hunt um, and eat, just biting straight through the middle of the ship, just so easily. We've got a Marai, an aquatic Vestian. Um, so, in case this wasn't clear, Vestians are humanoid animal aspect kind of creatures. So they're kind of like fish people. We've got a bounty hunter in front of the bounty board of Bilgewater. We've got another giant fish. We got a lot of those there in Bilgewater. We've got a Buru leader, I believe, or a Buru general there on a boat. And following right after is a Buru priestess summoning one of the tentacles of Nagakuboros. And then we have some powder monkeys, some monkeys that kind of go around and help load cannons and whatnot. Some notable figures are Gangplank, the Reaver King, who is thought to be dead. No, leave it at that. Fizz, who is a aquatic Yordle, one of the one and only that we have ever seen. In fact, what's going on with that guy? Misfortune, who is the aforementioned Fortune I was mentioning earlier. Graves, who's kind of he's a bandit, he's a thief, he goes around, he robs shit. He's pretty good at his job. Gay. Nami, a Marai, in search of the Moonstone, which will save her people, and we heard something about a moon earlier. And then Alawi, the truth bearer of Nagakoboros. She is basically not the head honcho, but she's the main religious force behind the boom. We've got the Shadow Isles. We are almost done, ladies and gentlemen. The Shadow Isles. Oh man, where to start? So, the Shadow Isles were a prosperous kingdom known as the Blessed Isles before. It's a actual utopia. It's like if League of Legends never implemented Yumi into the game, which you can see the two Yumi players listening to this. Their reaction right there. Kind of nothing really happens to the Blessed Isles. They're literally just chilling. They're like the coolest guys ever. A little isolationist, whatever. So we have to jump over to Camavor, where, if you remember, the King of Diego, his wife got poisoned. So he sends his niece, Callista, to find a cure for this incurable poison. Nothing really works until she finds the Blessed Waters in the center of the Blessed Isles, and Callista tells Viego. Viego will do anything to save his lady, so he conquers the sweet utopian Blessed Isles and hydrodunks his wife, which corrupts the Blessed Isles waters into black mist, I believe it's called, and corrupts the Blessed Isles into the Shadow Isles. And now the only thing that really lives in the Shadow Isles is death and decay. So it's really hard to say culture of the Shadow Isles because everything's dead there, but we got something. We've got the Library of Helia, I believe it's called, top left there. A kind of ghostly prison library. We've got one of the very few living souls in Shadow Isles about to lose that title to one of the... That's actually a person, but one of the wildlife of Shadow Isles. Then we've got an invasive Hydravine and a giant Hydra plant that is brought to life by the undead forces of the Black Mist. We've got some structure there. I believe it's a tomb that revives dead things. We've got Karthus, one of the figures of the Shadow Isles, leading his unholy sermon in the Shadow Isles. We've got a infected shadow beast A bunch of knives in it. We've got someone sailing into the Shadow Isles, just to show that there are ways to get in without being killed by the Black Mist. We've got a generic kind of scenic shot of the Shadow Isles. Really not much civilization left, so just kind of land. And then we got a ghost. I was going through this, and I was like, well, we don't have any ghosties here, so I just put a ghost because that's all that was. Hold on. All right, and then the notable figures of the Shadow Isles is the Camavorn King of Viego, who's now known as the Ruined King. We've got Gwyn, the Haunted Seamstress, who's she's a girl full of life for the Shadow Isles. That's weird. We've got York, a monk who lived in the Blessed Isles, who is only alive today in his kind of zombified state because of the vial of blessed water he has around his neck. We've got Maokai. So on the Blessed Isles lived treants, just live trees. That's how cool that place was. And then with the blessed waters turning corrupted, it corrupted the waters that the treants were drinking. And thus, a lot of the treants became corrupted, killed. Maokai is one of the few remaining, if not the only one remaining. Hecarim was in life Viego's general, kind of head honcho for Viego's army. And then Thresh, he's something custodian, I think. And he is potentially responsible for all of this. He's a scheming, soul-trapping motherfucker. He snatches your skull and puts him in soul and puts it in his lantern. All right, the last living place to go over is Ionia. There's a lot of weird shit going on here. Because the boundary between the spiritual and physical realm, yes, those are actual things, is really thin here. There's a lot of spirits that leak into the physical world, and people accidentally walk into the spiritual realm all the time. Yeah, there's basically a bunch of villages that live in Ionia, kind of in harmony with nature. Kind of living, they're chilling, really. Very East Asian. But there are several groups. There are some groups who don't live in harmony with nature, like the Navori and the Order of Shadows. The Navori are a bit better, but the Order of Shadows is really bad. Then there are the Kinku, the protector ninjas of. They kind of keep the balance between the spiritual and the physical. They're all about balance, keeping balance. The Order of Shadow kills the leader of the Kinku, unfortunately. And so the Order of Shadows gets new leadership, and the Kinku get new leadership. And then with the Navori bandits and the Visayans there, it's kind of just like a four-way brawl between the Navori bandits, the Order of Shadows, the Kinku, and the Visayans. And other than that, the only real notable events that really happened here are really big world-ending events. So, gonna have to leave out a lot that actually happens on Aaron. But going through here, top left to bottom right, we've got a Navori bandit. We got some Visayans waiting in ambush. We've got one of the beautiful wildlife of Ionia, a scaled snapperneck, I believe it's called. A Order of Shadow disciple there, and then a Kinku putting a mask on a young Kinku warrior. The Empyrean, a giant, like wind-shattering dragon that lives above Ionia. There is a famous wind technique that is adopted from how the Empyrean slices through the air. Then we have another Kinku warrior in training. We've got a just kind of general warrior of the wind arts. And then we've got some more beautiful wildlife from Ionia. Notable figures are Shin, the new leader of the Kinku, Zed, the new leader of the Order of Shadows, Karma, who's rumored to be the embodiment of Ionia itself, whatever that means. Um, Akali, who was a Kinku warrior but is assigned to find her own way. Kennen, who is a Kinku warrior, and is Yordle, trying to keep the balance. And Master Yi, who's just a warrior monk in Ionia. I should have mentioned this a while ago, and I might have, but I just want to add for clarification. Back on the big caveats things, there's some lore that I am aware of that will happen, have happened, and people are this and know where they are and whatnot. But I'm not saying that information because I don't know if we're going to explore that in the D&D campaign. So, anyways, on to the last, but oh fuck, certainly not least, the Void. So there's actually not really any history known of the Void, just what the Void has done to Runeterra, because the Void's kind of in its own place, its own dimension, right? So, there's a lot of battles fought in Shrima. There have been some forces that have shown up in Ionia. Some stuff going on in the Freljord too. Acathia, a Shuriman city that was studying chronomancy, was swallowed by the Void in a tragic experiment. The Void's currently kind of leaking through into the world via Acathia. And because of a lack of a lot of reliable information, the Void is a mystery. As we'll see here, Kaisa and Cassidy are the only humans that have, or even related to the Void, have become so corrupted by the Void in their time that they can't really happily give a recollection of what's in the Void. It's described as a lavender sea, if that helps. So Kaisa and Cassidy were both people who were swallowed by the Void. Or swallowed by the Void when Acathia was swallowed. Kaisa has managed to escape. I should have checked up on Cassidy to see if he has, but I'm uncertain about that. Rek'Sai is the den mother of the Zirsai out in the deserts of Shurima. The deserts of Shurima are very scary because it's not only a fucking desert, but these giant monstrous void creatures that crawl through the sand really quickly that very easily kill groups of people at a time. We've got Belveth, who seems to be a pseudo leader for the Void. That's all we really know about her. Vel'Koz, who is a void creature who's obsessed with knowledge and anal. And Kha'Zix is a void creature who's obsessed with evolution through the hunt. And with that, class lecture is over. Thanks for sitting through this. This took so much longer to make than it took to record. So please do me a favor. Make sure you text your parents, call your parents, go up to your parents. Just make sure they know that you love them and what you do for them. Or sorry, what they do for you. If you'd fucking do the first thing I said, make sure if you tell them how grateful for the stuff that you do for them, I will personally kick your ass. That was a misspeak. Anyways, just talk to your people while you have them. I'm not I'm not saying this for any particular reason. I just really like my family. So yeah. Take care, guys.